I'm going to share some screens here, and we're live. Welcome to this is our third Cleantech Summit. This is the first info session. It's our third time doing the Cleantech Summit. We've got our leading co-organizer, Foresight Canada, back at it again, helping us for the third time in a row, and a lot of new partners involved. And we've also got Jade and Hassan co-leading the entire summit program and due diligence with us today. So I'm going to share some slides here. We're going to get to it. And we're going to have an opportunity for you guys to ask us questions and maybe even share a little bit about yourselves at the end of it. So here we go. Cleantech 2023. So quick background on us. Startup TNT. TNT stands for Thursday Night Tradition because we've been meeting every single Thursday since May 16th, 2019. This is week 188 to have fun, make friends, build companies together in the startup community. And, you know, it's really impressive to see this all come about. I was at the very first happy hour. I was there. So to see now, I organized it. So to see now it happening in 5 cities, 3 provinces, it's really freaking awesome. And, you know, it's really just like have fun, make friends. This is serious. Building a company together, investing in startups, learning about how to invest. It should be done as something you enjoy, something with really interesting people. And something that we can all support each other on, you know, believing in ourselves as a community to build great companies, you know, and when we do investment summits like the one we're running now, you know, our minimum goal is that we're going to invest in one company. Look how many companies raised money at the last summit. I think there's 4 on the screen there, but actually I think there was a 5th one we missed. There was a 5th deal in there that we forgot to put on the screen. So anyways, it's always exciting to do this. And I do want to give just a really warm shout out. David from Foresight Canada is here. He's going to give a little presentation about what they're up to. Foresight Canada and Actia, who joined forces recently, they were actually the ones that pitched the idea to us. Jason Switzer from Actia at the time said, Zach, come down to Calgary. We want to figure out how to raise money for clean tech companies. Let's do something together. And then it happened. And now we've added great organizing partners to it. Amy, based here in Edmonton, specializes in artificial intelligence, has a great program to help clean tech companies use artificial intelligence. Renewal funds and BDC, you know, venture capital funds. Avatar just announced a new venture capital fund, all as organizing partners. You know, it's great to have just community supporters and investors participating. We got Edmonton Unlimited and our friends from Calgary. We're actually adding a few more to this list to round it off. We could use a few more representation, of course, from our friends in Manitoba and Saskatchewan. So we're adding a few more to this list. But I am really excited that Foresight Canada, who is without a doubt the biggest force in the clean tech community here in Canada, is here leading the charge with us today. David, I'm going to hand it off to you to tell us a little bit about Foresight.
Thanks, Zach. For any of you who have not heard of Foresight, we're a clean tech accelerator. We have a goal, we have a North Star of helping Canada become the first G7 country to hit net zero. So that's why we're excited to be part of the Clean Tech Summit. For all of you startup founders and innovators out there who are building solutions to help with the impacts of climate, it all contributes to to pushing Canada to be the first G7 country to hit net zero. And, you know, as Canada, we're kind of behind right now. You want to go to the next slide, Zach?
Sure.
So if you don't know what we do a bunch of things. The main thing we do is acceleration programming. So if you're a startup, we do provide programming to help you build your business, help you connect you with EIRs that are specialized in the clean tech field. We also do innovation challenges with industry, municipalities, where these are large organizations that are looking to adopt new solutions. And you can imagine in these large organizations, it can be hard to adopt because, you know, if you're doing it, if it's really innovative, it's new, it's being done for the first time, they don't have a good RFP template for it, it's going to be a challenge. So the innovation challenge is a good way of them sort of getting exposure to these things. You can move on. Just so that you get a sense, since 2019, which is when Foresight crossed the Rockies from BC and entered the prairies. Since 2019, these are some of the numbers. We've worked with close to 190 companies, and I can tell you these numbers only come from 67 companies that replied to our survey this year. And you can see the amount of revenue generated, the amount of exports, and even the number of jobs that have been generated. So sort of regardless of what you hear, this is what's happening on the ground in clean tech in Western Canada. So that's something to keep in mind. You're not alone. And I think one of the great things about the Cleantech Summit is that you get to see all the other participants in this space, which is really, really valuable. Yeah, move on. And yes, if you want to know more, you can go to our website. The Foresight 50 was published 2 weeks ago. It was a list of the 50 most investable companies, clean tech companies across Canada. I encourage all of you to take a look at them because you'll see the different phases that they're in, both in terms of fundraising, revenue, and traction. And you can see these are companies that are from across the country. So yeah, we're really looking forward to this event. Zach and the TNT team have really created a great environment and a great place to learn about clean tech and how to raise money.
Thanks, David. And really great to have you guys on again as partners. Also do want to give a quick shout out to our core funding partners, Alberta Innovates and Prairie's Economic Development Canada, who provide really important funding to get this whole thing off the ground. And up here at Edmonton, we got this great company called Deal Closer that actually helps manage all of our paperwork around closing the deals that we do. So really awesome company, legal tech company. And, actually quick shout out back to David. One thing I want to mention is we are in the works of coordinating a joint, well, maybe not a joint program, but the opportunity for participating companies in this to participate in one of your programs as part of the process. So more details of that to come. I'm meeting with your team about that tomorrow, but they did it last year and it was really supportive and really impactful for some of the companies participating to get a little bit of mentorship and support from the Foresight team as they were going through the process with us and chatting with investors. So listen, we got a big team at TNT. A lot of them are on the call today. I want to maybe give a quick opportunity for especially my co-leads to say a quick hello. So Jade Alberts, one of the very first people we met down in Calgary. I'm from Edmonton, just for reference. 2 years ago now, just over 2 years ago now, I saw Jade on a Zoom call with all these things in the background, and I didn't know exactly how to take him. Here we are 2 years later, and he's just such an impactful human being. Jade, great to have you back. You want to introduce yourself?
Sure, it's great to be here. I've been about 2.5 years now with TNT, invested in every summit since then. Myself, I'm an entrepreneur who's exited a business, been part of 3 others, very passionate about our ecosystem here and giving back through, peer guidance, purpose before profit. Have a podcast that just reached 4 million views, and also have Founders Coffee that allows people to come meet like-minded individuals. So I'm looking forward to getting to know some of you over the next couple months.
Yeah, great to have you back, Jade. Wealth of knowledge, just a hands down, let's go get it done type of guy out there in the community day to day, recognized by the Rainforest as somebody who embodies the startup culture that we all trying to achieve. So thanks so much, Jade, for joining us and being part of this team. We also have Hassan based in Regina. Hassan, are you the first Regina investor we had at TNT as well? I'm actually not sure.
I don't think I was the first, but probably the second or third out of Regina.
We're one of the first ones we met in Regina, so it's great to have you here. Hassan is also a fighter pilot, and he's invested in pretty much every summit since then. Hassan, do you want to give a little more background steps for everybody?
Sure. Thanks a lot, Zach. Yeah, great to be here. Really happy to be part of this summit. I got into angel investing about 1.5 years ago. Been also investing in every summit ever since. Really love the space. It's been a fabulous experience so far, learning a lot from the Startup TNT team. I love it so much that I actually want to get involved as a lead, and Zach was gracious enough to offer that. And as my background, as Zach alluded to, I have an Air Force background. I don't fly jets right now, sort of on a part-time basis. I do that for the Air Force when they need it, but mainly focusing on my wife and I focusing on our business in the local area and on Startup TNT.
Yeah, awesome, Hassan. Great to have you. Understated guy, runs a really impressive business, a really awesome background, the type of guy you want on your team. And as co-leads, we do a lot of work educating and teaching the investors and leading through the diligence process with them. So entrepreneurs, you'll have a lot of interactions with all of us on the co-lead side. You'll probably have a lot of interaction with our team as well. So Tim, who is not on the call today, co-founder with me of Startup TNT. He's our deal specialist. So at the end of the process, you'll probably be working with him to finalize the deal. If you're one of the ones that lands a deal. And then we do have both Dom and Jonah on the team that help us out with operations, and they support you guys in a big way throughout the entire process. So Dom and Jonah, do you guys want to do a quick hello on your end?
Yeah, for sure. Dom is actually busy working on some other stuff for our summits here, so he's not on the call right now. But yeah, we help kind of behind the scenes, and I guess doing all the functional things to make sure that it's a good experience for you as companies. So the leads are there to answer all the questions as well. But anything technical or any of those technical pieces, we'll be helping take care of, and we'll be more than happy to answer any questions about those technical pieces as we go along and as you're pitching and doing all these fun things along the process.
Awesome. Okay, well, let's get to the meat of the matter here. I guess one more shout out for Startup TNT. Listen, the point of this slide is to just showcase all the different types of companies that have raised money through processes like the one we're running right now. It's now over $8 million raised for over 60 companies. 230 investors have participated. Each investor commits $5,000 initially. But what we find is often the investors are writing additional checks. Not every investor, but often it happens they write additional checks. We do more than one deal. A lot of deals get done. And it's really just, again, coming back to the philosophy of having fun, making friends, and learning together as a community how to build a company, how to invest in startups, upping our game as investors and as companies raising money from investors. So with that, let's get into how this actually works and like why you should join. You know, this is an opportunity to gain confidence talking to investors and communicating your story. A lot of entrepreneurs tell us that some of the biggest value they get from participating is all the feedback and forcing them to rethink their story, rethink their pitch, and getting really, high quality feedback from investors along the way. If you go deep into this process, you have to build a data room, which is something you're going to have to do over time as you raise money for your company. And this is an opportunity to see how that works for yourself. Get it all organized. A lot of people have kicked off their fundraising rounds by participating in TNT. And then the investors that you're meeting, you're building relationships with them. You're getting feedback. You're getting valuable feedback, but you're also building a relationship. And lots of investors build a relationship with these companies. They come back in the future. They become mentors, advisors, partners in some way, shape, or form with the companies around the table. Also, all of our big events, they're public. So you increase your visibility. You can gain momentum for your deal by participating in the Cleantech Summit and meet a bunch of other clean tech players, the organizing partners, the other entrepreneurs that are here. All of them provide valuable resources to build your company beyond just, the capital required to get it off the ground. And we really try to build a supportive environment so that, again, the fundraising experience is more enjoyable and friendly and dedicated to learning rather than cutthroat. Which can happen sometimes if we're not careful. So our goal is to get about 30 to 40 companies in. We've already had 9 request the application, so I think we're on track. 30 plus angels, and with over 30 angels, we'll have a $200,000 minimum investment to the winner, and hopefully a lot more. So I'd like to just kind of quickly review the eligibility criteria. So generally, companies that apply to these summits are in a pre-Series A stage of any kind, ranging from quite early MVP, friends and family type of stage up to seed or a late seed stage even, raising somewhere between 250,000 and maybe up to 3 million. I know cleantech companies often need a little bit more money to scale, especially the big hardware component. So sometimes their rounds and capital requirements are a little bit bigger, and that's part of why we do the Cleantech Summit. A lot of pre-revenue companies apply to our summit. I think roughly half the deals we've done or close to it have been pre-revenue when they raise money at TNT, something frankly, we're really proud of here because it's hard for pre-revenue companies to raise capital in Canada. It's a hard fundraising environment in general. So this is also geographically for companies from across the prairies. You have to be from one of the prairie provinces to participate. We're a very community-focused organization, and so this is for prairie companies. Hopefully in the future, we expand beyond the prairies, but that's the focus. And then you just pause for a moment. Cleantech can be sometimes difficult to define. But this is the definition that we're using. You're able to demonstrably reduce greenhouse gas emissions with your technology, or you're reducing another significant pollutant that cleans the environment in demonstrable ways. And then one of the key things is your time availability. So this is something to consider. It is an 8-week process, and if you go deep, it becomes a decent amount of time. But honestly, it's worth the effort. If you're serious about raising money for your company. And so the finale, which is March 23rd, is in person in Edmonton. And we do expect all the companies to be able to join us in person at the finale to participate in that final event. Okay, so here's some key dates. We are just in early December now. Applications are open. They're due January 24th. Basically, the first thing that happens is investors start screening the deals. 20 are invited to go into due diligence with us. All 20 companies get to have a minimum of one meeting with the investors that are participating, and also participate in a really fun top 20 pitch night. And then through escalating levels of diligence and a voting process, we'll go through some of this in detail throughout the day today, or throughout the meeting today. We're able to select a top 5 that all get invited to the finale, and we negotiate deals. And again, that's a public event, both the pitch night and the finale. All right, we're going to keep moving along. I realize we started a little bit late. We're already 20 past the hour, and I want to make sure we got time for questions. So the special purpose vehicle, this is how we make the investment. So this is important for everybody to understand. You aren't going to receive, if you're the winner or you receive an investment, you aren't receiving a check from a bunch of individual angels. We are doing the work behind the scenes to pool that money. Each investor is committing $5,000 up front to participate, and each one gets an equal vote and say in who we actually invest in at the end. We pool this through basically a partnership structure, which is similar to what you might see a VC fund using, where basically we have tracking units specific to each investment that we do. And so there'll be a Cleantech tracking unit specific to the winner of the Cleantech fund. And if you have 30 investors, that pools $150,000 together. You receive one check from us. Also note that investors can top up their initial commitment. So we've had investors write additional checks, an additional few $1,000s and additional tens of thousands of dollars. And so that's why the final number that you get can be larger than what that initial minimum is. And on top of that, we now have the TNT Capital VC Fund in place. And this is really exciting for us. So as a winner, you'll also receive automatically $50,000 from our brand new VC fund. And it's going to be syndicated through the same check. So that would mean, in that last example, if there's 30 investors, you're actually going to get $200,000 as a minimum when you include the VC fund check here. And then we actually have a pool of venture partners that are coming together to support the winning deal over the next few years on their journey to a Series A round. And our goal of this fund is to basically complement what the angels are doing. So as angel investors, we do a really good job screening and building relationships with these companies and deciding which deal the group wants to go in on. But often angels don't have much time because they have full-time jobs to properly support deals post-investment. And so a big part of the goal of the fund is to both activate people that don't have the time to do all that due diligence that we're doing through this process, because it's a big time commitment, but also more professionally support the deals after their investment to help you on your journey as an entrepreneur. Okay, and the fund does have the opportunity to write follow-on checks, if you're the winner and then you do a round in another year or two. So let's talk a little about this decision-making process. And I might ask for for maybe Jane or Hassan to weigh in with their thoughts on how they think about this. So at a high level, this is how it works. There's a little bit of detail on these slides, and we're going to share these slides after so you guys can review them if you want. But at a high level, maybe I'll just summarize. When we choose the top 20, basically all applicants are shared. Their applicant profiles are shared with the investors. The investors simply score them on a scale of 1 to 4, where 1 is hard no, I don't think this company's ready to move on to due diligence. 4, hard yes, this company should definitely move on to due diligence. And then after that, all the other decisions are basically made by the investors ranking order their investment choice. So to select a top 10, a top 5, and the final deal, the investors are just choosing, this is my number 1 investment, this is my number 2 investment, this is my number 3 investment in order, and they're assigned points, and we pull the points together. And that's how you make the decision. So you guys we're at this beginning stage here. So I thought maybe Jade and Hassan wanted to weigh in. When you guys are looking at deals, how are you approaching it? In that initial scoring of the top 20, what are you thinking about?
I guess in my opinion, it's the hardest part of the process because we don't get a chance to really dive into any due diligence or get to know you guys and ladies as founders. So I highly recommend putting a very detailed deck in there, not the deck that you're going to do a 3-minute pitch in. That can come later if you make top 20. If you have any videos, anything along those lines, make sure you put it in there so we can have it into the Slack channel, because any information that we can get that's over and above that we can read is very beneficial for all the investors out there.
Yeah, that's an awesome point, Jade. The deck that you give as a pitch, you probably want to have as few words as possible, but the deck that you submit for the application needs to be something that people can read without you. And there's a bit of a balance there. You don't want to overwhelm them with information, but they have to be able to understand what's going on without you explaining it to them in a pitch. Great point, Jade. Hassan, what about any thoughts to share?
Yeah, I would definitely second that. Yeah, that's your opportunity to make that first impression, and that's going to be a lasting impression. So you want to provide the compelling story that's going to convince the investors when they look at that submission why it should move on to the top 20. I totally agree with what Jay just said.
Yeah, it's a short window, and this is like one of the big challenges as any entrepreneur. It's like kind of getting people to take your pitch seriously. I will say, I think that one of the really special things about TNT is that you don't need a warm introduction to get investment at TNT. Often, not always, but often to get an investment from a VC fund or other angel groups, warm introductions go a really long way to get you in front of that group. At Startup TNT, everyone is treated the same. So it's all about, how you present yourselves. There's often like 30 to 40 companies applying. So you actually have like a 50% chance roughly or more of getting into the top 20. And then the investors are all making decisions. They're investors as much as strangers coming together and forming a decision. It's actually a pretty cool experience. So I encourage you to put a lot of thought into how to convince the investors and convey your message in that initial application. All right. And then, these are the types of things that happen during due diligence. So if you're in the top 20, here's what you can expect to happen. It starts off with a coffee meeting, but as things escalate and we do deeper dives into due diligence, there could be some additional conference meetings. There could be some reference calls to either other investors in your network, people in your network. You'll definitely need, if you're in the top 10 or beyond, you're definitely going to want to share a data room. And we have a lot of resources on how to build a data room. We have a whole seminar series on it. We have a template data room that you can use that we share with our investors, that we share with you guys to kind of go through it step by step. Here's all the things that could go into my data room. And finally negotiating the actual deal itself, and doing any IP demos and things of that nature. So speaking about those education resources, there's a lot of ways to get the most out of your experience. So there's going to be a summit education series on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. That'll be starting the first week of February. Actually, I think the very first one will be our peer-to-peer pitch practice to get ready for the top 20 pitch night, which is a week later. We've also got some resources here. Again, we're going to share these slides if you want to look through any of these links. We've got some great resources here about thinking about your pitch. And then the diligence in the data rooms. It takes time to build your data room, so you want to start thinking about it now. Generally speaking, you don't really need to share it, though, until you're in the top 20. Maybe if you have a light version of your data room with just a few key documents, that's something that might be shared. It might make sense to share when you're in the top 20 stage as a follow-up to your conference call meeting. But really, the investors start digging into that in more detail at the top 10 stage and the top 5 stage. Okay, I think we're almost done with the formal slides here. So a couple slides left. The public events. Again, the events are all about being fun and electric, supporting the entrepreneurs that are participating, showcasing who's in the room, showcasing what we're doing to a broader community. The pitch night, because this is a distributed group, we're going to be from across the prairies, both the investors and the entrepreneurs. That's going to be virtual, and it's on February 9th. And it's going to be kind of almost like a late afternoon, early evening event starting at 4 p.m. Mountain Time, 5 p.m. Central Time. And it'll lead into all of our happy hours, which will serve as the after parties. So encourage people to put that date in their calendar, join us for the after parties. They're a lot of fun. And there's after parties happening in 5 different cities. So you should have one close to you that you can join us at. It's also streamed live over YouTube. And then the finale itself will be here in Edmonton. I'm based in Edmonton. That's also a really fun night. That'll be in person, but also streamed live to YouTube. And if you're a finalist, we do expect you to be able to make it here. If that presenting some significant challenges, feel free to reach out to me separately about navigating that. But it's well worth your time and effort to get here in person for the full experience. It's a lot of fun. Okay, so a couple of final thoughts here. As a founder, maybe a guideline you want to think about is like, be the founder you want in your team. You're going to talk to a lot of investors through this process at TNT, but you're also just going to talk to a lot of investors in life and people in life. So you have to be receptive to feedback. There's Somebody's drawing on our screen, Jonah. I don't know how that's possible. Anyways, I don't know what's going on there. Somebody just drew on the screen. They circled it. They highlighted the fact that we have few receptive feedback. There's going to be a lot of strong opinions shared. You have to kind of get used to hearing the same things repeated over and again, being receptive to feedback, taking it in. This is the job of a CEO in general. You're going to hear a lot of things over and over again. You have to make decisions. Making friends with local investors. A big part of this is relationship building. Whether you raise money or not at TNT at the Cleantech Summit over the next few months, you have the opportunity to build relationships with people that can help you raise money in the future or achieve your goals in other ways in the future. And honestly, the biggest hurdle to raising capital is having people you can call that have your trust and are basically going to invest in you no matter what you say. And that's kind of the ultimate nirvana that you're looking for when you're raising capital. And it's kind of an impossible nirvana to get to, but we hope that through this process, you expand your network at least a little bit to get a little bit closer to that state. And then don't forget to assist and encourage your fellow entrepreneurs. This is not a zero-sum game where there's one winner and a bunch of losers. There are all of us here to gain value, whether we raise money or not. And keep in mind, on average, only 2 to 4 companies raise money at TNT. But out of a typical applicant pool of 30 to 40 applicants, that's actually not bad odds when you consider all the options out there for raising capital. It really isn't. Most VC funds are investing in more like 1 out of 100 or even 1 out of 1,000. All right, so I think I've talked myself nearly hoarse at this point. Stay connected, stay informed. We'll be getting weekly email updates from us starting in January as we go into it. There's TNT happy hours happening every single week across the prairies. You can join us and meet the community. You can meet entrepreneurs from other sectors as well, not just the clean tech community. And we've got a lot of resources out there to help you, especially the data room. A big part of our focus is helping entrepreneurs figure out how to build a data room. Not a whole lot of groups out there help entrepreneurs with that. We try and give you really strong support to help understand that whole process. Stay connected with all of us. And I think I'll stop here. We've got about half an hour left now, maybe a little bit less. Opportunity to do some intros and big happy hour tonight if you want to join us at one of your local regions. So I'll stop the share and maybe give people an opportunity to ask some questions. So why don't we do questions first? Everything was crystal clear. You might want to review it. We'll share the slide deck. And then and this is also live as well. So what we could do is do a quick round of intros. I've introduced myself, teams introduce themselves. Do any of the entrepreneurs want to say hello? Like what I like, we got 30 minutes left. We like to get to know people on the call. So I won't make this mandatory, but I do actually kind of suggest it. You can say a quick hello, your name, where you're from, and your company, and just a very succinct summary of what your company's doing. Try and keep it to like 30 seconds or so. So I'm going to start with Mike because he's got his screen, his video.
For sure. Hey, Zach, first of all, thanks for taking the lead and appreciate that. Yeah, I probably got a million questions, which is probably why I didn't ask one. Okay.
Sure.
But I do want to let you know, thanks for everybody for being here. It's pretty exciting because I've been out of the VC community for quite some time, but thanks to David over there, we're fully creeping back into these. I'm from Calgary anyway, Scout Energy Solutions. My name is Mike Mardesic, COO of one of 2 principals in the company. And we're in a clean tech space, which is called thermal energy storage. We're right now a manufacturer's agent out of the UK, but distributing, launching product sales into Canada here starting in 2023. Pretty excited about that. Realizing how much work we have to be done. We on the TRL level, we're quite high, but on our commercial readiness, I think we got a lot of work to do. We're probably in the bottom third, so we need to get to the second to third. And really, it's going to be based on really getting our all of our like you say, everything out on that the canvas represents. We got to build that up and to the point where we're now going to be commercially ready and then really target a B2 B level and then a B2D. That's where our sort of expertise is in distribution.
B2D.
So
what's the D in B2D?
Distribution. So just through wholesalers, distribution networks, channels.
Mike, and what was the technology space again?
It's thermal energy storage. All we are is we're like the Energizer battery of thermal energy storage from residential to industrial.
Okay, cool.
Got to work on our elevator speech. It's sexy,
Okay, no,
but
nice.
it's really,
that's awesome.
it just makes other renewable energies work. So we're just the storage part, but it's a vital one.
Okay, great. Thanks, Mike. Thanks for kicking off the intros. Okay, maybe there's we can do some more intros. Can a sole proprietor apply? Andre asks. Well, you do have to be structured for to receive investment. So you generally need a corporate structure to do that, Andre. We can maybe chat separately about that, but it's not too much trouble to change to a corporate structure, but yeah, it might be worth a little bit of thought. Like, you don't want to force something that isn't a fit. So if you're structured as a sole proprietor for your business and you're just doing like consulting work, you know, it doesn't necessarily make sense to change everything to apply to the Cleantech Investment Summit. But if you're planning on moving in this direction from being sole proprietor to a growing, scaling business, well, then maybe now's the time to make that change. So I think that's how I might think about that question. Okay, any other questions, or does anyone else want to say hi? How about Sheldon? Sheldon, do you want to say hi? Thanks for joining the call, Sheldon.
Hi.
Hi, Sheldon. Sheldon just invested with us at our last summit. So Sheldon, why don't you do a quick hello?
Hey guys, my name is Sheldon Jiang. I've been a longtime participant with TNT, first-time investor at last summit. So looking to invest in the Cleantech Summit as well.
Awesome. Investors coming to the info sessions. Love it. Okay. Does anybody else want to say hi? I'm gonna call people at random. You can say you don't want to say hi, but we really like saying hello here. So how about Candace? Sawchuck. We could skip Candace because Thomas just showed his screen. Thomas, do you want to say hi? How about Thomas? I think your sound's not coming in, Tom. 1 second. All right, we'll go to somebody else. Candace, are you able to say hi? Yeah, Candace says she has glitchy internet, but Candace is from Remington Unlimited, so I'll introduce you. Welcome, Candace. Great to have you on. But hi, thanks, Candace. I'm sure that's how you said it too. All right, we're glad to have you here. How about Corey Tremblay? Corey, do you want to say a quick hi? All right. It's a quiet group today. So
Quiet group.
Well, I'm not going to force people to stick around and say hi. So what we might, I mean, if does anybody want a chance to ask questions, or maybe I'll just bring up a discussion point that's probably a question you're thinking that you're not asking for at least a few more minutes. Why don't I ask this question? I'll ask this question for the group, which is how to think about the confidentiality of your information. So I don't know, maybe I'll pose this question to Jade. Jade, how do you deal with entrepreneurs requesting you to first sign an NDA before you have a conversation with them or before you see a pitch deck? Any things to think about there for these companies?
Yeah, most of the time we usually don't. We probably see between 400 and 600 decks a year when it comes to investing. So, if it gets down to the nitty gritty and things along those lines, we might, but in the end, anything that comes through the startup TNT, summit, I think I've probably been in seven or eight now. Nobody shares anything. I mean, we're all serious investors. We all value the information out there. Most of us have been entrepreneurs ourselves that understand the value of that information. So, it's something that, we value the privacy of what people are doing, especially in the clean tech and life science industries, where there might be a little more sensitive information. And, and honestly, some of the ones, whether it be ZS2 or Winecrush, they got proprietary stuff that's out there. Some of our best investments, in my opinion, have come from the Clean Tech Summit. So there's a high level of trust between the investors and entrepreneurs.
Yeah. I think that You hit it there, Jade. Like investors are seeing a lot of deals, and something like asking for an NDA can cause a bit of friction or significant friction right off the bat. So I think that there are specific cases where an NDA may be necessary around, for example, your proprietary tech. Like if investors want to do a really deep dive into your proprietary tech, that may require an NDA. But most of the general information about your company, we should be able to share and access without having to sign an NDA.
Yeah. And even on the tech side, right? I mean, we're not going to send Jade Alberts to look at your tech that only understands Python because it's a snake. You know, someone else like a Noel or an Enon or somebody who's exited tech companies is going to go there, understand, be able to talk to you guys, you know, at that level, and then report back to the group.
Yeah. And honestly, you can have some pretty deep tech conversations without signing an NDA from my perspective, especially if you have things like patents that are published. If you don't have a patent yet and you're working on things that you want to patent, that's where it can get a little tricky. But yeah, even the tech conversation, I think, can often get pretty deep without an NDA. So this is a bit of a trust building exercise between entrepreneurs and investors. And so that's why it kind of escalates over time. So it starts off with that coffee meeting, you're just getting to know each other. And so maybe one way you can think about it is you might have just, if the next level is we're moving forward, let's review some documents. You might have like a simplified version of your data room with just a few things in there that, you know, like financial statements and projections, for example. So, yeah, that's a question that comes up a lot. So I thought I'd mention it here. And then I might, are there any other questions or comments or thoughts from the group? Otherwise, I'm not going to force us to stay here for another 20 minutes. people are signing off anyways. Things like they got out of what they needed. But yeah, happy to chat if people want to have questions. Thomas is from Prairie's Canteen. Thank you, Thomas. So Prairie's Canteen, one of our funding bodies that also has actually some really great programs for companies.
Glad to be here. Microphone working now?
Now it's working, Thomas.
Hey, there it is. So yeah, I always just like to add into something like this that you know, the Prairie's Canteen does have funding for profit businesses. So if you do receive funding, you know, through the TNT process, you can always then engage and leverage that funding further, potentially through some of our programs.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for joining us, Thomas. Okay, any other, I'll do one last call here. Any other questions, comments, concerns? You can also reach out to our team individually. I think Jonah's laughing at me because I've said that like 4 times now, but I think we could probably wrap it up a little early and I'll give you guys 20 minutes back in your day, if that's okay. How's that sound?
I can get to the gym earlier.
Yeah, you can get to the gym, grab some lunch, enjoy your afternoons, rest up. It's a big happy hour tonight. We're doing a big Christmas party. Sorry, big holiday party, Christmas or otherwise, here in Edmonton tonight at Northern Chicken. And happy hours happen in all other cities as well. So thanks for joining us, and we can probably leave it here.
Hey, Zach, just before we let everyone go, do you mind if I just say a couple points? So yeah, and just in Regina, for those of, I don't know if anyone on the call is from Regina, but if there are, in Regina today, we have a special guest at our happy hour. Rebecca from CDL Atlantic will be joining us. So anyone who happens to be in the Regina area, just come on out at Cathedral Social Hall, 6 p.m.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, Hassan. And everybody have a great afternoon.